Well, it is no secret that the Switch 2 has started out with a rocky start. And it all started with Mario Kart World being $80, and I'm pretty sure no Nintendo fan wanted to pay $80 for the next big Mario Kart game. Because back in the day, Nintendo was the most affordable, most fun, and most creative company video games had up to date. But now it seems like ever since the Switch 2 came out, everyone has been hating on Nintendo, and I really want to talk about this today. So yes, today we're going to be talking about my opinions on the current situation of Nintendo, from the new president to the absurd price tags. And I actually posted this community post asking you guys what you think of the current situation of Nintendo, and yes, as you can guess, I am going to pick from my favorite comments to put in this video. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm kinda mixed with Nintendo right now. I love Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza for sure, but I think Mario Kart World is worse than 8 Deluxe right now. Oh, and I almost forgot we're going to be talking about their situation in 2026, from the Mario Wonder Switch 2 edition to Tomodachi Life and Rhythm Heaven, which I think should have been in the direct, but it wasn't. But with that whole intro out of the way, we're going to be talking about my current thoughts on Nintendo and your current thoughts on Nintendo. Starting with mine, we're going to be talking about the prices. So we all know the overall big problem with the Switch 2 has been the prices of the console, the games, and the worst part, the accessories. Starting with the console, I overall think it's actually a good price compared to others. PlayStation is $500 and Xbox just raised theirs to $600. So overall, Nintendo is still the cheapest console out there, and you can still even buy a Switch 1 if you really want to. But the actual games itself is where it starts to get iffy with me. Mario Kart World physical is $80 freaking dollars. And like I said in the intro, no Nintendo or Mario or even just Mario Kart fan wants to pay $80 for the next big Mario Kart game. And really, the only two games that I can justify being $70 to $80 is Donkey Kong Bonanza and Kirby Air Riders. Donkey Kong Bonanza is pretty obvious. It's one of the best, if not the best game on the Switch 2 right now, and might be your biggest reason to go get a Switch 2 if you don't have one currently. And I know Kirby Air Riders hasn't released yet, but honestly, it's looking to be better than Mario Kart World as it is right now. And I mean, heck, they're gonna give us a second direct on Kirby Air Riders, which might show off story mode, and honestly, story mode over free roam any day. Editor Neb here to say that Kirby Air Riders is still not out, but I just watched the second direct and it was absolutely amazing, and yes, it is still worth $70 in my opinion. But now we come to the worst part, and that is the controllers, the accessories, and all of that crap. The Joy-Cons and the Pro Controller are literally $90. That is absolutely insane to think about. Oh, and to play Virtual Boy, you need to have an $100 headset, which is insane, or you could get the $24 cardboard one. But Nintendo knows nostalgia will consume you, and you have to get that Virtual Boy headset for $100 just to get the pure experience. So yeah, as you can tell, I could talk about the prices all day. I mean, I want to get into a whole rant about the amiibos right now. $40 is absolutely insane for an action figure. But now we need to get into another very controversial topic, and that is the amount of DLC Nintendo is promoting right now. So to be really honest, in my opinion, the Switch 1 had amazing DLCs to pick from. I mean, heck, if you have NSO Plus expansion pack, you get 3 amazing DLCs for absolutely free. First, and my personal favorite, you get the Booster Course Pass, 48 tracks, like 8 new characters, and so much more. You also get Animal Crossing Happy Home Paradise, which I personally think is amazing DLC for Animal Crossing. And finally, we have the Splatoon 2 Octo expansion, and personally, I do not have this DLC, but I heard this one was amazing too. I mean, I could go on all day about the Switch 1 DLCs. We have the 2 packs you could get for Smash Ultimate, the Sonic Mania Encore mode, which I know isn't a first-party Nintendo game, but still. And now we have to get on to the Switch 2 DLCs, and honestly, all of these have been pretty buns recently. Now, just so you know, I am going to count a few of the Switch 2 editions because some of them feel like DLC to me. But now I feel like we have to get get to the 2 games that actually have DLC in their games. Starting out with Donkey Kong Bonanza, and honestly, this should have been in the base game day 1. DK Island is basically the Mushroom Kingdom of Bonanza, and the Emerald Rush is basically the Luigi's Balloon World of Bonanza. So like I said before, the DK Island and Emerald Rush DLC should have been in the main game and not an extra $20. But next up is the game that makes me so angry, and that is the Pokemon ZA DLC, a DLC that was announced before the game even releases. But now here comes everyone's favorite part of the video. How much does this DLC cost? Drumroll please. Yes, of course, it is $20 once again. Holy crap. Like, I already don't want to pay $70, $80 if you want to get the Switch 2 edition of Pokemon ZA. So why in the name of heck would Nintendo release a DLC before the game even launches? It just blows my mind. I don't know what else to tell you. Now I actually want to head to a positive note, and that is actually the Switch 2 editions of some of the Switch 1 games. Now, not all the Switch 2 editions are good. Just look at the Mario Party Jamboree plus TV, whatever it's called. It was absolutely terrible. I mean, heck, there's literally only 2 Switch 2 editions I have, and that is for Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, only because I have the expansion pass. But there are actually 2 Switch 2 editions that stand out to me, and I actually really want to talk about them. Starting with one that doesn't come out until spring 2026, that is the Mario Wonder Switch 2 edition. I personally really like the addition of Bella Bella Park, the cool multiplayer mini games, adding mouse controls, and so much more. Personally, my favorite mini game I saw was the hide and seek one, because it's basically prop hunt in a Mario game, which I thought was really neat. But that's not really the reason why I am intrigued by this, because they are actually adding the Koopalings back in Mario Wonder, so I really am just anticipated on how they're going to work in this game. Especially since we see in this scene that Wendy is actually not in a castle at all. She's basically just roaming around in the world. It also looks like Captain Toad is gonna play a big role in this Switch 2 edition, so we'll just have to see about that too. And the second one I want to talk about is what a Switch 2 edition should be every single time. And that is easily the Kirby and the Forgotten Land plus Star-Crossed Worlds. I mean, it was literally a second game on top of Kirby and the Forgotten Land, and I'm pretty sure everybody really liked Kirby and the Forgotten Land. I mean, heck, it was his first 3D game. I also really like how they just reuse the levels, but it's in such a unique way that it doesn't feel like you're replaying the same thing over again. We also got crystallized enemies, which I personally really like, and they remind me of the Terraforms in the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet games. But with that all said, I know the Switch 2 edition segment was short, and that is basically because I only have 2 of them, and they're only for the Zelda games. But if you really want to get one and you don't have the expansion pack, just get the Star-Crossed Worlds one, because once again, it's just a game on top of the game. But now I want to talk about something I'm really anticipating and saving for last with my thoughts, and that is the situation in 2026. Now we're on to the part I want to talk about most, and that is games from 2026, from the Mario Wonder Switch 2 edition all the way up to Tomodachi Life. I'm going to be talking about how much they're gonna cost, what month they're gonna come out, and how good they are out of 10 in my opinion right now. So they haven't came out yet, but I'm just taking a guess of how good they're gonna be. So with that all said, I'm just gonna get one game out of the way because we've already talked about it a lot, and that is the Mario Wonder Switch 2 edition. Starting with the price of this, and I personally think it's going to be a $20 Switch 2 edition. Why? Because it's basically an expansion to the game, like the Kirby and the Forgotten Land one, which once again, Kirby and the Forgotten Land was $20 too. Now, since they said they're going to have it out in spring of 2026, I personally think it's gonna come out in May, specifically the end of May. And how good do I think it's gonna be? I'm personally gonna compare it to all the other Switch 2 editions, and I think it's gonna be up there, so I'm just gonna give it a solid 8 out of 10 right now. And it's not because of Bella Bella Park. Park. It's about the Koopalings, and you already know that. Next up, we got Rhythm Heaven, and I know we've only gotten one trailer of this game, but it did say it was coming out in 2026. Now, personally, since this is a Switch 1 game, and it's not gonna be that big of a game, I think it's personally gonna be at $50 to $60. It's probably gonna be at 60 because we all know Nintendo, they're gonna put it at the highest price possible. Now, for the release date, I personally think since they already announced it, it's gonna come out early 2026, so I'm personally thinking it's gonna be in March. And personally, my rating for it is not gonna be that high because this is not the type of game for me, so I'm gonna give it a 5 right in the middle because it hasn't came out yet and I've never tried a Rhythm Heaven game. Now, finally, the one you've all been waiting for, it's Tomodachi Life. Now, personally, I have a 2DS, but I have never played the original Tomodachi Life, but I'm gonna get this one because I heard the first one was amazing. Now, I think Tomodachi Life is going to be priced at $60 because once again, it is a Switch 1 game, not a Switch 2 game. Also, just like the Mario Wonder Switch 2 edition, it's coming out in spring of 2026, but I personally think it's coming out in April. But now, my personal rating of Tomodachi Life, like my hype rating, it is a 9 out of 10. I personally cannot wait for this game. Now, those are my thoughts on the start of 2026. Now we're going to go to your comments and see what you think of Nintendo right now, so strap in because some of these are long. But before we get to the part of the video you've been waiting for, I'm just here to say like and subscribe because my goal is to get to 1.7 thousand before Halloween, and if you can do that, that would be amazing. But with that all said, let's head right back into the video. So now that we're at the part that you've been waiting for, I'm gonna pick 5 of the comments that really speak to me. They could be hateful towards Nintendo or even, believe it or not, be grateful towards Nintendo. So with that all said, I say we get to the first comment. Starting with a comment from the Ultimate Toad, it says, the hate is way too forced. Yeah, ZA sucks, but they're still making Don't Buy Switch 2 videos in October. First thing I need to say right off the bat, I hate Pokemon games, so yeah, ZA sucks for sure. And also, I do think the hate is kind of forced. People are really just doing it to get views now, unless they genuinely hate Nintendo. Like, I remember all I saw on my YouTube homepage was Switch 2 hate videos, and they were doing absolutely amazing. So yeah, I do like this comment, don't get me wrong, but I do think Nintendo does deserve a little bit of hate, especially with the accessories that I've went over. Next up, we got a comment from Derpalotl, and it says that the prices are fine, but I do want to go back to $60. So yeah, I think we can all agree with this comment. I would love to go back to $60 games from the Switch 1 era. I mean, heck, Mario Kart's $80 version was worse than its $60 version. Don't get me wrong, Mario Kart World is good, but 8 Deluxe is way better. So yeah, let's just be real, we would love to go back to $60 games, but we know Nintendo will never do that, and the last good game we'll probably get for $60 is Tomodachi Life. The third comment we're gonna talk about is from a fellow YouTuber, Damir19, and these next two are super long, so I'm just gonna sum them up. And the comment says, greedy, everything is way too expensive. I do think the Switch 2 itself, though, is at great value for quote-unquote only being $450. I do also think that they're adding way more DLC due to the Switch 2 editions also. And they still haven't shown us the Yoshi's Woolly World remake. What a disgrace. So yeah, going back to the DLC part of things, I think they're adding way too much DLC. And once again, going back to the Pokemon ZA DLC that literally got announced before it was even released. I hate saying that still. And once again, the Donkey Kong Bonanza DLC should have been in the main game too. But yeah, once again, I don't have any problems with the Switch 2 being $450 due to, once again, PlayStation and Xbox's prices. And for our second long one, we have one from Butter0989. And it actually is comparing the Switch 2 to the Oculus, and I kind of like this comment too. And the comment says the Switch 2 is basically this generation's Oculus. Both were made by major corporations that were, I'd say, equally as scummy. And the consoles were meant to play exclusive games to them. The Oculus Oculus also had a very anticipated game called Beat Saber, just like Mario Kart World is too. Then the Oculus just got a dozen of other amazing games, but then it just died. I also wouldn't be surprised if the Switch 2 only gets a dozen or two good games, just like the Oculus did. But the main difference with the Switch 2 is the games are managed and priced by the same company that made the console, which often means they don't have much value. Now I do want to say, number one, I don't have an Oculus, and number two, this comparison was amazing, Mr. Butter. I also heard that Beat Saber was an amazing game, and people who had the Oculus played it a ton. And just like Mario Kart World, it was booming, and everyone loved it at the start. But then, like you said, it just died. And going back to Mario Kart World, it just really surprised me that that game just died so quickly. Or maybe I'm not really that surprised, who knows. But yeah, overall, I don't have a lot to say with this comment. I just really wanted to show it off because I thought it was a great comparison in general. And yeah, I do think the Switch 2 will have a dozen or two great games out there, like Donkey Kong Bonanza. And finally, we have my last and absolute favorite comment, and it says, drumroll please, Baby Waluigi is actually a thing in the next Mario Tennis game. Oh my god, I cannot wait. Well, with all 5 of those comments out of the way, that is mine and your opinions on Nintendo right now. And honestly, I love making this video, looking at your comments and telling me what you think of Nintendo right now. I thought this was amazing. And I am super glad I got to learn your perspectives on the company that I love a lot. And yeah, this company right now is having a bunch of up and downs, as we can tell, especially with, well, the prices. But with that all said, thank you all for watching. Like and subscribe, and peace out.